In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
Just off the air, we were talking about prices at grocery stores lately and how much it is. My wife loves to bake and seeing butter at like $6.99, $7.99. I was like, oh, man. Well, the head of Canada's second largest grocery chain called suggestions that the country's biggest grocers are exploiting the market to, make more money from inflation is, quote, reckless and incendiary. And he characterized the critics who are making assertions as, quote, lazy armchair quarterbacks who know little about the food business.
So who said all this? It's the guy who runs the Empire Group, which is Sobe, Safeway, Freshco, IGA, and Farm Boy. He made those impassioned remarks at the company's annual general meeting. Then later on in the meeting, they reported a net income of almost $200 million in the recent quarter.
That means in the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Although, not a lot's changed from year to year. That's about what they made a year ago.
Mm-hmm. But some of Canada's big grocers here, they've been facing a lot of blowback in recent months because despite, we were talking about inflation, they're still making record profits. Like, it's just going up and up and up. And some of their main rivals in the industry, Loblaws and Metro, have all dismissed the criticisms as being unfounded and misguided. But
an economist from the Canadian Centre of Policy Alternatives, he's written that excess corporate profits and fatter margins in the food business are driving up inflation. A Toronto Star investigation published in July came to the same conclusion, too.
But they say, here's the thing is, a lot of people have just been shifting their sort of grocery shopping habits. So from instead of buying and shopping at the big flagship stores, so Loblaws or Sobeys, they're shopping at more the discount stuff. So they're going to IG or they're going to Freshco or Food Basics or No
smaller
Frills.
Independent ones, too,
exactly.
Right?
Because they're seeking bargains as household food bills just climb higher and higher and higher. And Stats Canada will have the latest inflation numbers for the month of August coming out a little bit later this morning. But back in July, they actually found grocery prices are up 9.9%, which is above and beyond what inflation was overall.
So 9.9% year to year. Oh, you might as well say 10%. Not only that, and this isn't necessarily on the grocery stores, but that's shrinkflation. Mm-hmm. You're noticing it more and more as products are smaller, so they're not raising prices necessarily.
So I pulled out a block of cheese this morning, and I remember when a block of cheese was 500 grams. Then it went down to $4.50. This latest one was $400. But the price is still the same.
Bacon's the same.
Yeah, they went from $500 to $375 now.
And you get that much less in the way of slices. Mm-hmm. It already shrinks up enough generally as it is.
It's really annoying. And I saw a post, a tweet about it where they compared, because they always buy like the same box of like chicken nuggets or burgers for their kids. And well, now you get like three or five less pieces in a box.
And you're seeing it across the board. And they're trying to keep the price the same as what it was before, but you're getting less. So they don't want to jump the prices up necessarily. But to say that the grocery stores aren't making really big dollars, come on. That alone, up 10% year to year, that money's going somewhere. Some of it's going to gas costs, I'm sure, and things like that.
Yes,
I will say that, fuel costs.
But this guy, this Michael Medline, the guy who runs, the Sobeys and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that his pay in 2020 was like over $4 million. So he's not hurting.
You're okay. Probably not shopping at the discount stores. That's likely where he's not.
He's not stepping foot in a grocery store. Someone else does that for him, I bet.
It's like sometimes when the uber rich talk, well, how much could a bag of milk be? $20? There was a line from some movie or a television show about that once, right? And yeah, sometimes they're just a little out of touch. Maybe you need to be that undercover boss and go see what it's like in the front line. If you were unsure about what to make for dinner tonight or what to order, we've got you covered. It's Pepperoni Pizza Day.
And a new poll asked pizza lovers about 30 different toppings, whether they do or do not belong on top of a pizza. Pepperoni got the most yes votes, but there's still some that said no. 7% of people said no pepperoni on pizza. I'm going to assume those people are vegetarians.
So some other toppings that at least 2/3 of people say do belong on pizza. Mushrooms, no. Garlic, onions, no. Bacon, yes.
Yes.
Chicken, sure.
Yes.
Sausage, sure.
Yes.
Green peppers, no. Yeah, I'm not a green pepper fan. Ham, sure. Roasted red peppers?
Yes.
Delicious. And pesto.
Now, the ones that only about half of people are cool with: spinach, tomato slices, black olives. Oh, that's a hard no. Jalapenos, pineapple. That one really has people torn down
Always.
the middle.
42% said no to pineapple. The rest said yes.
Yeah. Sun-dried tomatoes, ground beef. I don't mind ground beef. Banana peppers, barbecue sauce, ranch dressing, artichokes, and broccoli. And the ones where people say, yeah, these do not belong on pizza. Fried eggs.
Who's putting a fried egg on a pizza? Like with a yolk or like 100%
Yeah.
fried?
Maybe
Or dippy.
maybe a dippy egg.
So you take the pizza
And then you dip
the crust and you dip
in
it.
it. Probably
No.
how it is. And other toppings people don't want to see on pizza: asparagus, zucchini, eggplant, anchovies. It's got that umami flavor though. Shrimp, and then corn.
Asparagus on your pizza?
Yeah.
Like just one big long asparagus.
I remember there was some place, it was like a summer, and they're trying to use fresh local ingredients, and I saw they had put asparagus and fresh corn on.
Yeah. No. It's pepperoni pizza day. Enjoy.
Yum. Science. Not rocket science.
Check it out. I blinded us with science.
When you're a kid, I think one of the first planets you really learn and think about might be Mars, but because it's the closest, but then Saturn because of those beautiful rings.
Because they're so cool looking.
Well, in space news, we may finally know how Saturn got its rings. A moon strayed too close 160 million years ago and got torn apart by Saturn's massive gravity.
Wow.
Keep
Hey.
your distance, the moons.
It's going to destroy you and rip you to shreds. Hey, 400 years ago, Galileo came up with the theory that in a vacuum, a bowling ball and a feather will fall at the same rate. Well, it just got confirmed with the highest level of precision. A satellite called Microscope did an experiment, not with an actual bowling ball, though, but they were able to confirm it, doing it up in a vacuum in space.
Kind of cool. Would have been better if it was an actual bowling ball.
Yeah,
though.
definitely.
It's a situation that, a lot of us have faced in our lives trying to, move through things like getting a tattoo and the pain involved with that. Well, if you're afraid to get one because you don't like needles, got some good news for you. Scientists have developed a way for you to get a permanent tattoo without going under the needle. New technology is in the form of a skin patch that has micro needles smaller than grains of sand. While it still technically uses needles, these ones are microscopic, said to be painless and bloodless. The micro needles can be arranged into different designs, words, symbols, and whatnot too. As a bonus, they can even be made to respond to environmental factors, including lighter temperature changes. So using skin patches, they say, is a quicker process too. The patch is pressed onto the body, similar to how you would, do a temporary tattoo. And the micro needles dissolve, leaving the ink to sink into the skin a few minutes later. They can even be self-administered. I don't know if I'd be wanting to. A, I don't know if I'd want to do that, self-administer. And B, because you know what would happen? If you self-administer, you'd put it on upside down. Mm-hmm. But you better make sure that whatever the design is in those micro needles, you better be sure it's right.
Yes. So I feel like you'd be ordering this online.
Just your first mistake, second mistake, doing it on your own.
You think it's a nicotine patch and you stick it on. You're like, oh no, it's
Wrong tattoo.
Patch. Wrong patch. And finally, parents, if you want your kids to have a long, healthy, and active life, apparently you need to stock your kitchen with walnuts. Walnuts. A new study covering decades of research reports people who eat walnuts early in life more likely to be physically active, eat healthy in general, and experience a better heart disease risk profile as they get older. It's the latest study and the longest and most exhaustive project indicate that simply adding a handful of walnuts to one's diet is enough to promote additional healthy lifestyle habits later in life.
Isn't that interesting? So walnuts are the ones you need a nutcracker for, right? Like when you have those, not so much anymore. I don't think people do it as much, but you have like at Christmas a big bowl.
Right, a bowl of nuts on the coffee table.
And they're like one of those crunchers in that cracker right beside it.
Or the old school, like the toy nutcracker.
Oh, I never saw those. We just had those like they were silver.
The metal one, yeah, the silver ones.
And as a kid, you'd like put your finger in it, right? You'd be like, oh. And if you had older brothers, yeah, then they'd
well, no wonder it promotes a healthier lifestyle because there's so much work to get the walnut out.
Chatham, Kent's Country, CFCO. There's Megan Patrick. And as promised, we said after Megan Patrick, we would tell you the secret to happiness, and it is
Expressing gratitude. Today's actually World Gratitude Day, and this new survey found that about 33% of people say that they regularly make it a point to express gratitude in their everyday life. But 65% of people who report they're very happy on a daily basis are more likely to always be giving thanks.
And this is stuff like simply saying thank you to people in person, writing letters or notes, buying or personally making someone a gift or a meal, simple act of kindness, and, maybe just when you're out, saying thank you to someone that does something nice for you.
Mm-hmm. Being mindful of those little things in your life that make it better. So they say on average, people express gratitude to others about 6 times a month. But I think you should probably be doing that a little bit more.
I often say, we're quick to complain but slow to praise. And we've always done this since our kids were little, and sometimes it annoyed them then. But now they're doing it. My son has done it a few times. If we get great service and something I've always tried to do, I tell the person not only that, I seek out their manager. And it's the wildest thing because when you say, I'd like to speak to your manager, immediately the body language changes. The manager comes over and you see the kind of look in their face. They're like, what am I going to be dealing with? And when you say, well, I just want to let you know, Cheryl's a great employee, fantastic. And their body language, they beam immediately. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Because you get a charge out of it too. So we've always tried to do that. Point out getting good service. Because boy, as a society, we are quick to complain, right? Point out when you're getting something good today. Well, over the last month, people have been talking about the things they secretly judge others for. A while back, we heard some of them, including anyone who litters.
Oh, yeah.
Agree with that. People who leave the bathroom without washing their hands.
Ew.
Yes. And people who talk down to service workers.
Oh, tell me you've never worked in a customer service job without telling me you've never worked in a customer service job.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a few more things that people have mentioned that they silently judge others over. Like people who take their dog to the store but then leave them alone in the car. And we're not talking about like someone who stops at a corner store, runs in to grab, a prescription, that kind of thing. We're talking about someone who's grabbing a cart and doing a full grocery shop.
Yeah, especially when it's warm and you're not leaving the AC on and things like that.
Although when I had to stop somewhere to pick something up and I had my dog with me, you know what I did? I got out, locked the car, and then I did the auto start. So he was sitting in the air conditioning the whole time anyway.
Now, I really haven't seen this a lot. People who park at the gas pump when they're not actively pumping gas or paying inside, they're just sitting there, messing around on their phones and stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, I mean, you're paying inside. I feel like it's okay. You've already pumped your gas. Now, I know some people will say, well, you should move park the car.
But then I've also heard people say the gas stations, they don't want you to move. They want you to stay at the pump, come in, and then come back out.
Better for the flow of the parking lot, I'm sure.
Exactly. Another thing we silently judge others for, spitting in public, as we should.
Well, and especially the last couple of years with the pandemic. Mm-hmm. How about people who put their blinker on after they get into the turning lane or when they're already mid-turn? Yes.
Well, I mean, if they forgot, but if they're consistently doing it, that's weird.
I mean, if they're signaling at all, that's...
They're getting closer.
Yeah.
They're a little closer.
Be grateful.
Allowing your child to run around and scream at places they shouldn't. I mean, it's one thing when you're at a park, that's to be expected. But, if you're at a restaurant, try to tell your kids to be well behaved. Especially I'm not talking about McDonald's. I'm talking about a sit-down restaurant.
People who come in right before a business closes and leisurely stroll around with their carts.
It always blows my mind, the number of people that walk in and do this, not realizing that the store is closing.
So the store's about to close or close to. What's your cutoff for yourself? If you're 5 minutes to, if it's close to, I'm moving.
Oh, yeah. If I know if it's about to close, I'm literally sprinting through the store, grabbing the minimum items that I need and then getting out. But that's just me.
Now, this next one on our list, our good buddy Ace might disagree with this because he's a motorcycle rider.
Yeah. Apparently, people silently judge others for their loud motorcycles.
Well, it depends. Some of them you can't help it, right? You've got some of these motorcycles just when they're idling. They have that sound.
I'll add this. When people rev their big truck or souped up car, and it's you think that impresses me? I'm Shania. That don't impress me much.
Well,
sorry.
They hammer the gas at the light, and it makes that noise because they've got those special type of mufflers on it too. That's it sounds like a marching band or something is going down the street. People who stand in doorways, usually in deep conversation. When you do that, you're keeping people on both sides of the door from moving freely. I will add in the aisles of grocery stores as well.
Oh, yeah. I always try to be like they stop with their cart on one side and then they block the other side standing there looking at something.
I'll add one more in that when it comes to grocery shopping. You're actively looking for something. So you want something, your significant other's told you to pick something up and you're trying to see where it is in the shelf. Someone goes by and I think subconsciously they think, oh, it must be something on sale. And they come up right beside you and they're looking. I always kind of give them a look like, are you looking for something? And then they kind of wander off. It's a human nature thing. It's like you go out in public and look up.
When they realize it's not a fantastic sale and you're just looking for a certain brand or type of tomatoes.
Right. Or it's that subconscious thing. You go outside and look up and eventually someone else is going to look up. What are you
looking at? Is there a plane? And finally, the last thing people silently judge others for, pen clickers. The people who just sit there clicking their pen, open and close as fast as they can.
Yeah, I used to work with a guy that would do that. He'd kind of get lost in thought and he would start this. Action. And so I'd be like, stop it. Some of the things we silently and maybe not so silently judge others for at times. And it is the first day of fall today. And with that, be careful. There could be some dangerous driving conditions.
Yeah, because apparently there tends to be more car crashes today. Apparently, when the fall equinox comes, the sun rises exactly in the east and sets exactly in the west. And that can cause some serious glare on your windshield. So a lot of major roadways are oriented east to west. So you'll be driving directly into the sun on your commute, depending which way you're going. And it can be a problem this time of year especially, but it can be an issue during the spring equinox in March. So we've got a couple tips for you to, try to cut down on the glare.
Windex the outside and inside of your windshield. There's a lot less glare if it's nice and clean.
Also, don't put those sunglasses away. I know summer's over, but keep some sunglasses in the car because you're still going to need them. That'll help cut down on the glare. They say polarized works the best.
And we've been saying this all month with school back in again. Slow down. The sun can still momentarily blind you even with sunglasses on. And keep in mind that other drivers are going to be struggling too. We were driving on Kyle right near the bridge just the other day, and there was a car in front of us, and just the time of day and the way it was hitting the rear window was blinding both of us. Like we had the shades down. Yep. We were trying to look above because it's just the way as he was driving and the way that car was shaped.
Yeah.
My wife has an SUV, so it's up a little higher. It was like somebody was shining strobe lights right into our car.
Oh, that's frustrating.
And a little blinding, and that can lead to accidents. So be careful the first day of fall. We've got some examples of law and disorder, and this first one just screams irony.
This 48-year-old by the name of Johnny, he placed second on a Discovery Channel show back in 2020 that was called Moonshiner's Master Distiller. He's now on a new show that is called Alabama Shine. And apparently he may have flown a little too close to the sun this time because he just got arrested for making moonshine. Apparently in one of the first episodes that aired on this new show, he talked about evading law enforcement. Well, the cops in his neighborhood decided to look into what he was up to. And they happened to raid his place when he was in the middle of making his next batch of moonshine. They found an active still along with 5 gallons of moonshine and another 19 quarts of flavored moonshine. So he's now facing charges for making and distributing prohibited beverages.
Now, a couple of things come to mind here. I've watched some of these, criminal type shows before. Normally they'll, black out the person's face or they'll change their voice. So I wonder if the original intent was this. Okay, well, just show us the process of making the moonshine. Maybe you can have so much legally. Like you can have a couple of marijuana plants or whatever the law is in Canada.
Yeah, you just if you can prove it's for personal consumption.
I'm going to make the assumption that 5 gallons and 19 quarts probably not considered personal consumption.
Not your personal stash.
That's a big party. All right, question number 2. A couple near Nashville went on a first date recently. And, what do you do on a first date? Maybe you go out for dinner, take a walk.
Drinks.
Well, nope, they decided to break into a church in the middle of it to play piano.
Okay.
A 20-year-old by the name of Sebastian and a 19-year-old by the name of Danielle. They were out on their first date when they realized they both play the piano. So they decided to look for an unlocked church where they might find a piano so they could play it together.
Well, a lot of churches, they leave the doors open, right, for people to come in.
The very first church they went to had a door with a broken lock, so they went inside, found a piano, and plate for about 30 minutes.
So they would have been fine.
They probably wouldn't have gotten in too much trouble for that, but on their way out, they decided to steal 4 Bibles as souvenirs. I'm pretty sure there's something in the book about that. It's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not
Steal?
They also took a set of drumsticks and the church's collection plate. Now, I'm going to assume there was no money in the plate, but they just...
No, but it was
itself.
metal.
Well, a lot of churches these days, because like everyone else, they have security cameras. They got it all on video. The pastor called police the next morning. The two were, they confessed to the whole thing. They admitted it was a dumb idea. Now they're facing several different charges. No word on whether forgiveness from the church is going to factor in on this one.
I want to know, what's their second date then? Is it a conjugal visit?
Your first date was breaking into a church, playing a piano, and then getting arrested. That's a pretty memorable start. More than 1,600 of Betty White's possessions are on the auction block from now until Sunday. And someone made a list of the most random items, and here's a little sample.
Like a vintage RCA TV with a remote and antenna on top.
That sounds pretty cool. Betty's Disney VHS collection.
Oh, the chunky white clamshell boxes. There's also vintage leather baby shoes.
A nun doll. That's kind of creepy. Betty's board game collection featuring the home edition of Password, which was hosted by her late husband, Alan Ludden.
There's also an oil painting of Betty White on the auction block, and it's Betty White, how she looked back in the 1950s.
Also, moon landing memorabilia. Somehow she got a hold of that.
She framed like the newspaper that day or something?
Or did she get something from the actual crew?
Maybe rocks? Ooh, that would be cool. Also up for grabs, Betty's wedding ring. Also a collection of cat jewelry.
Well, cat fans might like that. Betty's bedroom door.
Like they took it off the hinges?
So she's not going to have a door now?
That's weird. I like this one. The collection of animal figurines wearing sombreros.
Because why not? 2 panda watches. Betty's Golden Girls director's chair.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. A framed picture of Betty with Bill Clinton, former U.S. president. And also up for grabs, Betty's 2000 Cadillac Seville.
No word why. It just sounds like, she's decluttering a little bit.
Well, I wonder did she have any children? Or whoever has her estate, I wonder if they're going through the house and they were like, they kept things that mean something to them. But, she's got almost 100 years of memorabilia.
I mean, she lived an amazing life, right? And a lot of things, obviously, that she collected over the years or were given to her. Like, I'm thinking that moon landing memorabilia. That's pretty cool. Some collectors will definitely be going after that. So, Betty White's rummage sale, a family holding that on now through Sunday.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.